Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Jethro,
We're
brother
doing
from
this.
literally a brother from another mother
Yeah,
genetically.
for real.
So let's give a little context here. This is the first time we're meeting. We
Yep.
have twin brother dads. Our dads are
Yep.
twin brothers. And yeah, we're literally genetically brothers from another mother.
Our dads are identical, but we're not identical. We just come from the same
Yeah.
bloodline.
But also they're like very different in so many ways
I
too.
know, right?
Yeah, I would like to start out first since we're starting to get to know each other, I guess. Wow, this is such a trip to say all the way across the world.
I know.
What was can you just share a few memories on what your childhood was like growing up?
Yeah, so we grew up in I grew up in the province, Cagayan de Oro, farm life. My dad really pushed us to really work with our hands and stuff like that. I can't say it was bad. It was fun. I enjoyed and I learned a lot. But somewhat I kind of like felt I could be doing more. I mean I respect all the farmers. I respect the that line of work. I got through high school with scholarships because I guess God blessed me with the genes of the Ferrers. So I shot up to 6'4", and then random people were just like, "Hey, do you play basketball?" I'm like, "No." Like, do you want to learn
Whoa.
how to play basketball? So fast forward to junior year. The year was ending. I was going to become a senior, and I just told my parents like, "Hey, can I try out, you know, living in Manila, the bigger city. Basically, you
Mhm.
can compare Manila to probably New York, like the Big Apple of the Philippines. So that's Metro Manila. So yeah, I they agreed to it. They thought they at first they were like saying, don't do it because it's quite expensive there. It's you might get intimidated with the life that people do there. You might, they were just worried, like any normal parent would be. So, but yeah, I convinced them. I did my research. I did some saving up. Then I found a training camp. If you search them up right now, they're one of the biggest basketball YouTubers in the Philippines. During that
Cool.
time, they were just a small training camp. So yeah, it was called Mavs Phenomenal Basketball. So I saw the training. I was like, hey, this could be a good opportunity for me to train with them. And then yeah, we I kind of reached out to your dad for help. I mean, not help, but like I kind of reached out to your dad to like, hey Tito, do you want to like sponsor me?
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm, I'm,
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to find my basketball dreams, like, and he was
Yeah.
kind enough to like your mom and your dad were kind enough to like help me out. So yeah, that pretty much that jump started it. So I flew to Manila. I was training for probably a good 2 years while studying. I didn't have any scholarships when I got here to Manila, but I was determined because I figured if I'm gonna go to college, might as well go to college in a good school, right? And try to
Mhm.
get a scholarship from it. So yeah, that was that, and then unfortunately it didn't work out because I got injured during the process. I busted my knee, and surgery was the only option, but my parents couldn't afford it. Let's just put it at that. It was surgery anywhere is really expensive. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was too tough for them. The doctors pretty much just said if you just give it a few years, it's gonna heal. So yeah, unfortunately that didn't work out. But then it kind of put me in a corner because I didn't want to. Because that by that time already, I've already built a life in Manila, and I was enjoying the city. The people there. Because um how do I say this? I think it's normal, don't you think? Like if you lived up in a place all your life, you would feel kind of like um, what do you call that? You just
Boxed
know,
in.
yeah, boxed in. There you go. That's the perfect term.
Mhm.
You feel like boxed in, and like especially it's in a province. Like I'm not talking down on my province. I love my city, but sometimes it's like they're not quite open to new things, especially
Right.
since I was pretty much influenced, like I said, by hip hop, and like I like clothes, I just couldn't afford them during that time. So yeah, so when I moved to the city, that's where I like pretty much quote unquote found my people. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah.
everyone was so open. I saw a lot of creatives, but I saw the city and I didn't know anyone at that time yet that was like in that scene of music and everything that I'm interested in now. But like during that time, I already caught a glimpse of it, and I was pretty fascinated. Like, wow, people are actually here, are just so open, and like they're how do I say this? They adapt to what's happening around the world, and that's what I wanted. So when I was in that corner and like it felt like I was trapped, or like my parents wanted me to go home already, I was just thinking back about what are the things that I could do to make my stay here meaningful,
Hmm.
and make my convince my parents that it's not the end of my stay here. So I just looked back to the times when I was growing up, and my sister Jem, my ate, so
Hmm.
she's a photographer. She's been a photographer like even when I was like 6, 7, or no, when I was 8. Yeah, that's pretty much the age I remember that she took me on a photo trip, and she asked me to take photos of her. And look, I saw those photos again. I was like, I've actually, not to lift my own chair, but like, I got a pretty good eye, for an
Yeah, yeah.
8-year-old. So yeah, I was like, why don't I just go back to being a creative? It's always been something that I found really fun. It's also been something that I've, because during that time, like when you're 8 years old, you can't really buy yourself a camera unless your parents like gifted it to
Hmm.
you. Because my
Hmm.
sister had to work for her own camera.
Hmm.
So, so from there, like, I was like, okay. I explained to my parents, like, no, I'm not gonna leave. I think there's still some things I can do here. So fast forward a little bit, I was just going around. Since I was injured, like basketball was out of the topic. So I started meeting some friends. I started going to some concerts, music concerts. The first concert I've ever been to my life was here in was in Manila. I don't know if you know 88 Rising.
88 Rising. No,
They're
no.
they're like a group, an Asian group. They're like a collective, but they're all Asians. So
Okay.
they're Thailand artists, Korean artists, people. We they just recently got a few Filipino artists. So if you check them out, one of their known names, one of their known artists is Rich Brian. I don't know
Hmm.
if you've heard it. Rich Brian and Nikki and Joji. I don't know
Okay.
if yeah. So if you search them up, they're pretty big names in that label. So
Hmm.
yeah, that was the first concert I've been to, and that was really crazy. That was really fun. Like first time I've ever been in a mosh pit.
Wow.
All
First
right.
time mosh pitting. How old
Yeah.
were you during this time?
I was like probably I was still 18. I was about to turn 19. So
Cool. Cool.
it was just raging hormones and pure energy all over the place. Yeah, man. It was like it was really fun because first time from a guy growing up in the province. First time because normally here in the province, when you want to dance on a girl, you gotta ask them, or they have to like you. In
Right.
in, the, in that concert, like so many random girls were just dancing on me. I was like so confused. I didn't want to step over lines. I was like, hey, are you sure? Like, I don't want to do this if you're not comfortable. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
but
awesome. Uh-huh.
yeah, but that was during when I was single. I have a girlfriend now, but
Hmm.
yeah, going back. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then a friend that I met during that a friend that I was with during that concert introduced me to a person that introduced me to another person that eventually became like a whole group of like different people that eventually you know influenced me or like showed me like the scene of Manila.
Hmm. What was the food that you grew up with? Like the comfort food,
Ooh.
or what's the first thing that, like, when you're in Manila, what was man, I really miss this at home?
Yeah, my mom cooks a lot. My mom is she took a lot of cooking lessons. She's not a chef, like she didn't go to culinary school, but I can pretty say she's a really good cook. So that's the only thing I pretty much missed. My mom's home cooked meals. She would cook different things, from vegetables to chicken dishes to pork dishes to beef dishes. Just I mean, we're Filipinos. I
Yeah.
think that's how it is too in your household. Just like different varieties of food all the
Right.
time, and not just like chicken and potatoes or something.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't really spent a lot of time with you guys and your dad. I would only see him when he'd come visit to the Philippines. So I'm kind of curious right now. What is a party? What are the dishes when you throw a party with your family?
Oh, that we would eat growing
Like
up.
who would cook? Like who would prepare the
My
food?
Oh, for sure, my mom would cook. Now my dad cooks.
Mm-hmm.
It's less. It's less Filipino foods these days because
Mm.
we're trying to get our parents to eat more healthier.
Yeah, because
But I'm
Filipino
pretty
food is
sure.
just lechon and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. So those are growing up. It was always the same.
Yeah,
Lechon, pancit, um,
lumpia.
lumpia. Yeah, I love fresh lumpia, if
Yeah,
that's even called fresh lumpia. And all the desserts like the
the
puto bum,
flans.
yeah, flan, babinka is so
Oh,
good. Uh,
yeah.
and something that I've just recently loved is the babinka galapong.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
yeah,
good. That's bomb. That's
yeah.
bomb.
And the way I grew up with it, it was very cakey and dry.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
don't know
pretty
for
sure that
some reason.
changed your life because there's some toppings on it.
Yeah, yeah. And now, the way people make it, it's authentic, I feel, because it's less cakey and more kind of
Yeah.
like eggy and right like
Yep. And there's like
moist.
cheese and salted egg on top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
since the pandemic started, right, here in the United States, there's a Facebook group, or not in the United States, but where we live, there's a Facebook group that started. Um and it's all these Filipino people who post on Facebook that cook from home that
yeah.
sell, and they'll like sell it and tell you to meet them at this plaza somewhere nearby, and that's how we found Babinka Galapong. There was a lady that was, and it's
I'm sorry
yeah.
to cut you off there. I'm picturing like some tall Filipino with a trench coat and just like he'll just open his trench coat and he'll just have these assorted desserts from Philippines. Like, hey,
It
what you
does
want?
it does sound like that, like pushers, illegal pushers. But yeah, no, no, no. It's people just cooking from home,
Yeah.
which, it's not, definitely not legal, but there are worse things that you can do.
Yeah. But hey, that's being Filipino, Everything, all of our traditional dishes are started from just making them at home because those were
Yeah.
like staples, from puto to bibingka, like you said a while ago. These were like staples in every household during the
Yeah.
olden times because that's all they ate.
Mhm.
Yep.
And the differences too are really big. Like when I visited the province for the first time,
When was that? I How come we never saw each other then? I think yeah,
I
that was a while
saw
ago.
I saw Gyrus,
Yeah, my kuya. Yeah, my
right?
brother.
And I think that was in 2017,
Ooh, yeah,
2016,
that's quite
or
a while back.
2018. Yeah, it was a while back. I think he was just in the process of starting his chicken business,
Mm-hmm. I think that was
but
called Pronic Foods. I'm not sure.
mhm.
Yeah,
But I remember the food in the province was just so fresh, and it was less meaty and more. There's like a lot of vegetables, a lot
yeah.
of. It was good.
Where
I
did you
loved it.
go? Where did you
We
go
went
when you got here?
went to where my wife's mom grew up at. I think where our dads grew up too, in Nueva Ecija.
Nueva Ecija. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
our
yeah.
province. Yeah.
And I loved it there. I loved it there more than Manila.
Who? Yeah, Manila is the city. So
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
go outside of Manila to the provinces, it's just like, wow.
yeah. It was beautiful. It
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Did they make you try the milk on rice? That's
No, I've never tried that.
Oh damn. That's what they do, all the titos. During breakfast they would just like pour fresh cow's carabao milk on their rice and they'll just eat it with
Yeah,
some dried fish, and like I never understood it, but they loved it.
Yeah, yeah, that's some old school country
Yeah,
cuisine
for
right
sure.
there.
I'm pretty sure it's bomb. It's just that
Yeah, yeah,
it's too extreme for me.
yeah. So you found art through your sister,
Yep,
and and then and then you went to college for to
I didn't
study
go to
art?
college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the part. So yeah, that was my senior year when I got injured. So I got injured right before I got injured in the process of me trying out for colleges. So there
Wow.
were three colleges that called me back. It was LaSalle, the LaSalle Manila. That's a prestigious school or a known school here in Manila. San Beda, I tried out for San Beda, and Arellano. That's another. It's part of the University Belt of Manila. So they called me back, and and they found out I got injured, and they said, "I'm sorry, we can't fund that." So yeah, that's why I kind of felt like I was cornered and I was in a dark place. mm, I kind of um I kind of closed myself out for a while because I was lost. I was like, what am I gonna do now? Like, this was my only chance of getting a good life, because that was the only thing I knew back then, basketball. I knew there was something else that I could be doing, but I was more, since I was young, I just had to stick with what I had at the moment, because I didn't have the luxury of taking risks, because if I take a risk and it flops, then I'm going home, going home to the
Mhm.
province. But
Yeah,
yeah, um that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't go to college. That's when I started doing what I do, because I had nothing else to do. Like, college was going to these universities without a scholarship was close to impossible. Because
right.
they were pretty expensive. So yeah.
So you picked up the camera and then you met people. Yeah,
To correct you there, I didn't pick up my camera. I picked up a
uh-huh.
bunch of friends' cameras.
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, so starting out, like, I didn't have money to buy my own camera, because having buying a camera is pretty expensive too. So I just pretty much, you know, I think it's quite of a blessing, because um, my friends were pretty well off. They came from rich families, so they had a bunch of things, given by their parents and stuff like that. But they were kind enough to lend it to me when when I said, "Hey, we got this gig. I'd love to record or cover the whole event. Can I borrow your camera?" They're like, "Yeah, sure." So that's pretty much how I built it. And then yeah, through the years I was able to save up a little bit, and then I met my girlfriend, um per and she was able to help me out, have purchase my first camera. So I have it right here. That's
Wow, your
my
very first.
Yeah, this is my very first camera. It's been with me for I met my girlfriend at 2019, 20, 21, 22. So this 3 years, pretty much 3 years old already.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so I bring this guy everywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a
And
really
then
great camera. If you're looking to buy yourself a camera, this is a really good camera. It's not the top of the line, but it shoots 4K resolution and 24 megapixels, so it's really good.
okay. That's
Yeah,
the Sony
the Sony A6400.
A6400. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's what you use to make all the stuff that you posted
yeah,
on YouTube and everything.
yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty much
And
what I used.
and then the skills that you picked up with editing and all that stuff now, is that what you pursued to make money for yourself now too, to help you move to stay in Manila?
Yeah. So okay. So my first thought was, I'm gonna be a photographer again. So I'm going back again to the time when I thought I was going back to the province. So I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna be a photographer. And then eventually, I got the hang of taking videos. So I was covering like some gigs, some events, some hip hop events, some just with my friends. We never really released it. It was just more for us to just like try to make cool shit. So yeah, so I took on video. So I had photo and video during that time. So that's all that I was focusing on. But I knew a little bit about video editing, just basic cuts, transitions and stuff like that. But I really dove deep into video editing when the pandemic hit,
Oh, okay.
because the pandemic, we couldn't go out. We couldn't meet up with clients because or people because we couldn't the coronavirus. So that kind of again pushed me in a corner, but I said, why not just learn more about video editing and look for a job? So yeah, my first real job was with video editing. So it was I got a few jobs online for a few projects, but like what really got me saving and what really got me like building up my building up my what do you call it
S-
assets, I guess.
Assets, yeah.
Let's just
Mm-hmm.
put assets. Let's just
Yep.
put it in assets. What got me building my assets was because my girlfriend got a job at Warner Music Philippines. So Warner Music is a international music label that's in the States, Canada, in
That's
different
huge.
Asia. Yeah, that's huge. It's a big label. So it's in the top three with Sony Music and Universal Records. So my girlfriend got a job there because she's a graphic designer. She's a great graphic designer. So they got her, and um people at Warner Music Philippines were really nice enough to give me projects, like with the help of my girlfriend, of course. So when they would ask, hey, my girlfriend's name is Bella, so hey Bella, do you like know anyone who can cover this, let's say a live recording for this certain artist here in the Philippines? So my girlfriend was like, hey, yeah, you can hit up my boyfriend. I mean, she didn't say that I was her boyfriend because that would be a conflict of interest,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So hey, yeah, I know this guy, right? So yeah, he can try him out. So they messaged me and they're like, wow, okay. They weren't like, wow, like I could do all these fancy stuff, but like I got the job done, at a
Mm-hmm.
price that was within their budget. Because any creative worldwide, if you're really good at what you do, you charge for your skill. So
Mm-hmm.
the more skill you got, the more expensive you are. And since I was still pretty much intermediate level, so they said, okay, he's within budget. Let's give him a try. And they were happy with what they did, and eventually it just kept rolling and rolling. And then they just gave me project after project. I was just from editing and sometimes shooting, but it was mostly editing during the pandemic because no one could meet up. So they would give me digital assets to make, marketing stuff and just stuff like that. So that I guess that experience really like built my confidence, like that really got me comfortable in with my lifestyle right now. I'm not
Mm.
broke, I'm also not like super rich, but like it got me comfortable, and I'm blessed to have that. I'm blessed to have Bella in my life because she really helped out, make that
Man.
happen. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm just trying to think of the timeline because you're 23 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then the pandemic has been happening for 2 years,
Yeah, so I was
right? So, which
21.
is weird. You're 21.
So that was the
Wow.
one that I mentioned earlier, that I was
Mm-hmm.
21 when I started earning real money. The one I
Wow.
mentioned it a while
Okay.
ago. Yeah.
And I'm trying to find out where you started. You went to the concert, but you had friends that were already into like graffiti and hip hop and art and things
Not
like that.
graffiti, but they
Uh-huh.
were always going out.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced me to a friend who introduced me to another friend. And then eventually they just led me to the whole underground culture and the art
Yeah.
scene and everything. So
What
yeah,
what what would you say is the how would you describe the underground culture in Manila?
there are a lot of talented people out here. Um, it's crazy how much unrecognized talent is here in Manila. Like the big names you see, like from I don't want to talk down on them. They're good, but there are really better.
Right.
If I may
Yeah.
say, it's really
Mm-hmm.
good
Yeah,
to
speak
note.
on it.
Yeah, to note, my favorite groups right now is okay. So I'm gonna talk about this one guy. Shout out my boy Dustin. His name, he went by the name. I say went because he already retired since he's into motorcycle now. So shout out my boy Dustin. He went by the name Just Washington. Pretty Papi Cholo, you know what I'm saying? That's what Just Washington, Casanova. That's my guy right there. He's one of my best friends right now. So my first my first okay, are we talking about the music and how I got into it now? Like how
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
into it.
yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, take
So
it wherever you want to take it.
for
Hmm.
sure. Okay, so I will always remember this. Shout out to another friend of mine. I actually been with him recently because since I'm him back in the city. Shout out my boy Dom Canlas. So that's my guy right there. He was my one of my best friends in high school until now. So Dom was in Manila for college because he went to LaSalle, one of the schools that I mentioned earlier that I wanted to go to. So he went to
Hmm.
LaSalle, and like me, he's also interested in the fashion scene, the music scene, etc. So he was more into it. I didn't know until like he hit me up and found out I was in Manila. Excuse me. So he found out I was in Manila, and he already dipped his toes in the culture here with local streetwear brands, local music. So he was like, "Hey Jet, where you at? Like, let's hit up this gig. Um, there's a good lineup." So this was for a brand called Wednesday. So they're
Hmm.
a really awesome brand here in the Philippines. They got a huge following, and the meaning behind their brand is really good because they 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 fight for their. I don't want to. I'm not sure. Is activist a bad word to call people who protest, or is
No,
that
no, not at
no,
all.
no? Okay,
Yeah.
so they're activists here in the Philippines. So they all of their all of their streetwear merch has always like um, a message behind it.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was for Wednesday. It was one of their first collections. Um, and my boy Dom hit me up and said, there's gonna be a release for the brand. Um, there's gonna be music. There's gonna be stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I was super excited. I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, let's do it. Like, I had the dumbest fit on. I just wore a shirt. And when I got there, everyone was just all pimped up and dressed up, and it was cool. It got me. I was like if you would look at my face back during that time, I was like a boy that got lost in a toy store. I didn't care. I didn't care if I got lost. I'm in a toy store. I can just go around and look at everything. So I was like that. Like I saw. Like the lights were so dope. And the stage. It wasn't a stage. It was mind you, this wasn't like a venue where people would throw concerts. This was like they got an old house, like a whole old Filipino house
Very
that was
cool.
like Spanish looking, and it was made of wood. So it was a room. It was like two floors. So below there were another music event, and above was the Wednesday event for the streetwear brand I was talking about. So I was like, is this a house? Like, who owns this? Now we just rented it. So I was
Hmm.
like, what? And then like, yeah, I went up, and then like, there's all like rails of clothes, just piled up of their merch. And then here there was like a lounge. So I don't know if you can picture it. So you go up the stairs, you go inside the room. There's clothes here, and there's like a door here to the right. And then when you go straight, there's like a entrance to where the main event is, where where there are DJ spinning and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So in the right, my boy Dustin will come in a while. So in the right, there's like a door, and I saw my friend, my homie Dustin. I didn't know him back then. Dom just hyped him up for me, and it was like, "Yo, this Just Washington, he's one of the hottest artists right now." Like, so I was like, "Oh, wow, Just Washington." Whoa. Like right now our relationship with Dustin, we just like cuss each other out and just make fun, throw memes at each other. But yeah, that's our
Uh-huh.
relation. So yeah, Dustin, I saw him walking with his girlfriend during that time. He walked past me. I looked at him, and then he went inside this room. when he opened the room, the door to the right that I talked about earlier. When he opened the door, like I just saw like a bunch of like idols that I didn't think I would meet. And then the door's pretty old, but it's the type of door that closes by itself because there's like a
Yeah.
retractor. So you know that scene in the movie when things go in slow motion? That's how it felt with the slow door. And I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
staring at all those guys. And then he just sit down and with his arm with around this girl during that time, and then like just all those artists that I looked up to, and I was like, whoa. And I was
Wow.
like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I was so fascinated. Anyway, so yeah, the event started. And he performed. Dustin performed, and a bunch of DJs and many different talented artists. And yeah, and then there's a yeah, my homies, if my homies do listen to this, they know this story. I was moshing so hard and nobody knew who I was. And I was moshing so hard that I tripped on a wire. It shut the
Oh
place
shit.
down. The lights went off, the DJ set went out.
Oh
They're like,
wow.
woo! But the party didn't stop. It was that fun. People were still like singing because there was like I think there was a rapper performing. His name, yeah, it was Wyan, a rapper
Mm-hmm.
named Wyan from Cartelem. You can search them up later. I can give you their names later. So an artist was performing, and yeah, he was so known that people knew already the words to his song. So even when they tripped on the wire, people were still screaming out the lyrics. So it was really dope.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a super fun night. So yeah, that was my first event with my boy, with my homie Dom. It was just the both of us. No one knew who we were that time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so fast forward, I met a few people there who eventually brought me to that place called Black Market,
Right.
the one I mentioned a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was from there, it just took off. Like I met people left and right, eventually build relationships who introduced me to different personalities and different artists and different um people who were in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, eventually as the years went by, you know um as the years went by, Dustin eventually became my friend. A bunch of these artists became my friend who actually I talk to a lot right now on social media, and we meet up when we can. So that was really fun, looking back. Because
Mm-hmm.
right now I don't really go out anymore. I try to
Mm-hmm.
stay home because it's the pandemic. But looking back during that time, that was super. Like I will never forget that.
Right, right.
Yeah, for
That was
sure.
right before the pandemic happened. Is that when?
2 years before the pandemic
2
happened.
years before the
This
pandemic.
was this
Wow.
was before this was before I met my girlfriend.
Right, right,
So yeah,
right.
where I'm just this is all in the time when I lost my potential scholarships. So I was just going
Got
out.
it.
Yeah. So this was during that timeline.
What
2018. Yeah.
is that the black market? Is that just a group that throws these shows around Manila, or is it an
No,
actual venue?
it's an actual venue. But
Oh.
it's run by a bunch of friends who are also
Mhm.
deep dived into the underground scene.
Wow.
They're kind of OGs, and a bunch of them are from the states who just came
Wow.
back to Manila.
Mhm.
Filipinos who just came back to Manila and just like started something here. So they
Mhm.
started that. They started that event. They started that culture of every Wednesday. Who parties on a Wednesday, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like who goes out on a Wednesday? Like normally
Yeah.
the party days is Friday, Saturday.
Right.
So they started that every Wednesday. The line would reach from the entrance to the next street. That's
Wow.
how many people, kids my age, were trying to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
music was crazy. Like when you play a
Trap.
track, trap, hip hop, old school R&B,
Mhm.
everything related to hip hop in that
Mhm.
culture. So if someone like plays like a song It's I would just give an example, from ASAP Rocky, one of my favorite artists. People would just like start just jumping. And a cool thing about, yeah, another thing I missed out. I became friends with the MC of that night,
Okay. Yeah.
and eventually, as the days went by and the weeks and the months of just going back to black market, I eventually started like MCing for the parties for a little while.
Wow.
Uh,
Cool.
Let me see. I don't know if you can see it.
Uh-huh.
I'll try to send it to you on Facebook.
Sure.
Give me a moment. Yeah. Let's see how if I can find that. Wait, one moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We can just cut this dead space out.
Yeah, no worries. Don't. Yeah, yeah. I usually edit everything and then take
Okay.
notes. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, wait. Let me just look for it real quick.
Yeah,
Where
sure.
is it?
Yeah. So you're like pretty comfortable hosting. You don't get nervous or anything like that. It's like part
Yeah.
of
I
your
mean,
personality.
right now, I'm pretty talkative. This is how I normally am. I'm just out there.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's still sending. Anyway, while we wait,
Oh,
we
got it.
can still. Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Oh, very
What what
cool.
what did you
Whoa,
what
this
did
is
you get?
sick. I got this. I don't know if you could see it.
Oh yeah, so let me talk about that real quick. So that
Yeah,
was one
yeah,
of the
yeah.
first that was one of the first events that I me and my friends planned. So that's a community sale with a bunch of vintage. Yeah, that one.
Hmm.
So can you hear me okay, or am I kind of delayed?
No, I hear you. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a community sale that we organized with a bunch of vintage sellers, thrift sellers. And that place, mind you, before that place was just an empty white room.
Hmm.
So the person who helped us out host that event said, "Hey, because he's a painter, he's a known painter here an artist here in Manila. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna talk to the owners if they can allow us to draw on the walls." So I was like, what? You know? So all of those drawings and art that you see on the walls, those were done during the day, like from guests, from random artists who just wanted to paint on the wall. Those were all not planned. Those are all just fresh
Right.
and during that event. So that was really fun. And then they had artists, as you can see. I sent you also some videos of just artists during that night
I see it.
rapping.
Let's hear. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's poor taste.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's from Australia. I mean, he's
Oh.
Filipino, but he's from Australia. He was born in Australia, but he's Filipino. He's
Hmm.
actually back
Hmm.
there right now. So yeah, that's one of
Wow.
one of my friends. That's just a few of the things that we did during the time I was really heavy into that scene. I'm
Hmm.
I'm still a part of it, but it's like since we got more different responsibilities now and the pandemic, I kind of like drifted away from it a little bit.
Where do most of the people that you're involved with in this black market scene,
Mhm.
where do they see where do you think you or everybody else, what do you think everybody sees themselves doing? How do they see themselves moving forward with this? Or is it just mostly for the love of it and just being
It's,
together?
it's mostly just for the love of it, really. Like
Hmm.
everyone who's anyone there in that area, in that place, is just friends. They're all just homies. They're all just a bunch of guys hanging out. Like it's just really for the love of it. And but outside of black market, I know a bunch of them are like real good photographers in the scene. Real good videographers and like street videos, music videos for rappers. So a bunch of them were that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So yeah, it was mostly for the love of it. Just really hanging out. That's pretty
Yeah,
much it.
yeah. And that's how you also got involved with like the skate scene there.
I was never involved with the skate scene there. I skated when I was here in Cagayan de Oro with my friend Dom and a bunch of
Hmm.
our other friends. So
Mm.
yeah, so skating has always been a part of everything really. If you look back
Hmm.
in the history of like hip hop and not hip hop, I mean like this fashion scene. Everyone wants to dress up like a skater
Like a
back in the
skater,
day
yeah.
because being a skater was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you use skate back in the day?
I had friends that skated,
Mm-hmm.
but I would I did not. I tried,
Yeah.
but here in San Francisco, it's a huge mecca here in San Francisco
When
for
you say
skating.
Mecca, it's like everyone's doing it. Like, you,
Well, as far as the places you could skate here, a lot of
mhm.
people love San Francisco because of the hills.
Oh, they're bombing. There's
People bomb the hills here, and
yeah,
there's some crazy videos of people all over YouTube. Thrasher magazine, I
yeah,
believe, is from here in San Francisco.
yeah.
But I know a lot of skaters and people into skating. It was just never really my scene. Was more of the MC hip hop scene
Mm.
when I was growing up, making
Yeah.
beats,
I
things
never
like
asked
that.
you like who are your favorite artists? Like, are you really like a fan of hip hop, or do you like other genres too?
Oh, I love all types of music.
Hmm.
Um,
But
but
hip hop
the
was
people,
your.
yeah, that's the way I f- I found making music
Hmm.
was my friend's older brother. He had recording equipment. His dad was a jazz musician, and
Ooh,
so he was he was very, I guess, well versed with recording, his older
yeah,
brother. And then my friend, who's his younger brother, he picked it up. And he just came to school one day with like a tape, and it was like a beat that he made, and it sounded like, I don't know if you're familiar with Gangstar.
Gangstar. No,
They're from New York,
New York.
and yeah,
I'll look
so
them up. They're probably on Spotify now.
very very sample based hip hop.
Yeah,
um Not like the stuff that you hear now, which is like a lot of 808s and
yeah. Right,
hi-hats and things like
right
that.
now
Yeah,
is I know who sample heavy is still Kanye. Kanye sample.
Kanye.
Kanye is
Yeah.
sample heavy. He's a big influence in my life too.
So
Yeah,
it was just that was my and then I was always, when I looked at what you were doing, I saw a similar, like, whoa, that's kind of what we were doing here. But you know what, it's
yeah,
funny, it's because now they have those things for kids, or anybody that's willing to share their craft with people. But back
yeah.
then when we were like 16, 17 years old, it was more like church talent shows, and it was huge. It was huge here in Daly
Yeah,
City. Yeah. So a
yeah,
lot of the DJs that came out of here in Daly City that are well known now worldwide,
yeah,
yeah, started here in the Bay Area or Daly City.
yeah.
um yeah, so yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were talking about, it sounds like the scene there though, everybody's like supporting each other. Filipino artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, just
Mhm.
like any culture, just like
Mhm.
any community, there's always some toxic parts of it. That's also one of the reasons why I kind of stepped away from it. Like, people, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I'm thankful for everyone. Everyone who came into my life and taught me and introduced me to other people. But you can't really escape the fact that there are really some toxic people anywhere. You know,
Right.
so there are ups and downs really, even in this community. Um, the way, in my perspective, in my POV, it could be different from others. It was always, you know, hey, I'll introduce you to this person, but he's only for me. Like, you can't really like, you can't, like, I'm not gonna allow you to be like overstep me and like become closer with him. That type of person, especially if it was an important person.
Right.
Like, you can just be friends, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm still his boy when it comes to getting jobs or like shoots or gigs or whatever. So that's what I felt like. That's how I felt. It was always a competition with the creatives, but at the same time, um, it was always a competition, but it felt like it was kind of toxic in a way that they weren't really helping each other out. But don't get me
Right.
wrong, there are a lot of great friends that I met along the way who helped me out, who really like gave me encouragement or gave me like advice on what to do and how I can build my craft. But I'm just talking about like the generality of the general thing of any community. There will always be toxic people, and
Mhm.
also from, I heard from my friends too who are in the states that, what do you call this, even the competition out there is really, like fight to the death. Not everyone can
Yeah.
make it,
Yeah.
even if you have
Yeah.
talent. It's just the first person who gets the connection, or who signs the contract first gets,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
piece of the pie. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really all it is. I mean, some people get really lucky, but that doesn't mean
Yep.
that they don't work hard to get there.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, luck has a lot to do with it, being at the right place at the right
Luck and
time,
connections for
and
sure.
connections. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. But it seems like you're in a good place though, you
Yep.
know? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had no concept of toxic people when I was your age. It was just it was just more people that I felt like I had to change my way so that I could be accepted. You know what I mean?
How
I
so?
didn't
Like,
have
oh, you had to like peer pressure in and be like them just so that you'd be
that kind of thing.
accepted. Yeah.
I didn't recognize that some circles that I was in were more, how do I say
Destructive
this?
then.
No, I wouldn't say destructive because
Okay.
everybody brought each other up, but more like that's not for me, you know?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was more like trying to be, I guess, where what I thought helped me be happy. I
Yeah.
guess, does that make sense?
I mean, like, I guess you felt like they weren't adding value to what you really wanted to do, in a sense. Like, it
Right,
wasn't in the direction that you were
right.
hoping for. Is that the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and everybody's different. But when I was growing up, I love doing this, like what we're doing now, recording,
Talking.
collaborating, talking, and also creating.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to do that, but uh, you know, and everybody's different, right? But some people just want to go out, they just want to have fun,
Yeah.
and which I do too, but I also love like
Just staying
creating
home.
and
Oh,
yeah,
creating.
yeah, creating or like going outdoors on a hike or something like
Yeah,
that. And
for sure. I
you
saw your
know,
profile picture. You're into rock climbing.
I used to be, I just, I'm old now, man. I'm like 40
You're not
years
that
old.
old, man. You're not that old. Come on.
But yeah, I was trying that out for a
Yeah.
little bit. But now I I found that with rock climbing, I know there's a lot of that of people that do that there too in the Philippines, yeah.
Yeah, rock climbing for sure.
I
Trailing,
don't right.
trekking.
And with the outdoor community here, I felt that I don't know any you with rock climbing, you have to have friends that do the same or have grown up
Yeah,
in that scene
in that
because
scene.
you're pretty much trusting your life with somebody
With
while you're climb
experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the experience and you're tethered to a rope and
Yeah.
you're hoping that the person so it's just like me as a new climber, people aren't like, "Hey, I know you, I trust you." It's like I'm brand new. I could
Yeah.
be experienced as I want to be, but people are like this guy doesn't really know what he's doing. So, I don't know. I and
It's
now that
normal,
I'm
That's how it always
yeah.
starts. Like, who is this guy? What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
But eventually, as you like build experience, they're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
getting the hang of it.
But now that I'm older, I just kind of pick and choose my where I spend my time because
Yeah,
time is limited,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
I spent the like over 5 years getting good at jujitsu, Brazilian
Ooh,
jiu-jitsu.
that's
And
cool.
yeah, so I stepped away from jujitsu to climb and to run, and I was like, I need to get back to jujitsu because there's a community there,
Yeah,
right?
and it's a good self defense.
It's a good
And
self-defense.
it's a
It's
good
great.
exercise because you work out the whole body. Jiu-jitsu is the grappling, right? Like
The
the.
grappling, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I went to Manila too, I was looking for jujitsu gyms that I could, because we were
Hit up.
staying around some of the hotels there. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, I could just run there. It's just a few blocks away. And then the people that I was with, which was, my wife's family, they were just like, you do not want to walk outside with all
Yeah.
that smog and
And heat and cars
yeah,
and
yeah,
traffic.
yeah. Which is funny too, because well, we live with one of her cousins that is from, or they lived in the Philippines and they moved here to work,
Mm-hmm.
and and he's really good at Tagalog, obviously because he was born there.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were there and trying to get a taxi, he pointed out that one of the taxi drivers that we bypassed was trying to scam us
Oh,
for more
really?
money.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's normal,
yeah.
because taxis, I, taxis here. That's why we have Grab. You know, we have Grab. We had Uber. Uber's gone now. Like, I don't know what happened with Uber, but
Hmm.
the taxis here, man. Before that era of Grab and Uber, like if you're from a different country and they see that you're looking for a taxi, they won't bother turning on the meter, bro. They'll just offer you 500 or
Yeah, yeah,
1,000, and that's wrong, bro. I'd rather get the meter on and see
right.
that it actually costed 500 to get to a
Yeah,
place than by like giving me a flat rate of 500, and
yeah, yeah,
apparently it
yeah,
would only cost 200. So those are some tactics that some drivers do, which is, I know they're trying to earn a living, but it kind of sucks that they have to do it that way and try to exploit or like scam people.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you too. You mentioned that there's some artists there that I guess clothing brand that are into activism
Yeah,
around the Philippines, right?
yeah.
So, do you notice any common message that artists there or you yourself are trying to express?
Um, it's mostly just um, what the how so? I'm sorry. Could you expound on that more,
Yeah,
if you could?
like a lot of artists here are either they're conceptualizing something personal or trying to express something socially. And if it's socially, it would be, the current landscape of how
Yeah,
divided everything is here now,
yeah.
right? Or maybe some common themes that you've seen in artists, like maybe around here. Okay, so for example, a lot of people are, at least Filipinos
Mm-hmm.
here in the States, are trying to grasp this notion of getting back in touch with our
Mm-hmm.
roots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And reconnecting with the motherland, with our
Oh yeah,
nationality, right?
yeah,
So there's a lot of like decolonization talk and considering the Philippines, Spain, right off the top, the
yeah,
United States,
yeah.
some countries in China, like, or
For
in
sure.
Asia, like China and Japan.
Yeah,
So a lot of stuff we're grasping and expressing in different ways. Even this
yeah,
with the podcast, and talking to you, I'm trying
yeah,
to dig into this, right? So I imagine in the Philippines, not that you guys are you live there,
yeah.
and 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 that's a common theme with us, but I wanted to see if there was anything you noticed as
I
far as art
guess.
goes or whatever
Yeah, I
media.
mean, to mention Wednesday, the one I mentioned a while ago, who are into activism, their brand. Their message really is mostly for um farmers, for equal labor pay. Like, like, they're fighting for like the government to give them just as much pay as a regular person working with, because being a farmer here and being a farmer in the States is totally different. Farmers in the States or in other countries, they're freaking millionaires, man.
Hmm.
Farmers here are earning chump change. They're earning crumbs. So that's really one of the things that is sad, because we have like one of the biggest lands in the world, in terms of agriculture. That's where the Philippines thrive on, fresh produce. So that's one of the things that, that Wednesday is fighting for. And besides that, the because it's election season, so they're also like, they're also, just educating the people, telling the Filipinos, telling everyone to register, just encouraging, like, cast your vote wisely, and giving some talking points on, like, on what you call this, on talking points on like how to vote properly, like how to do your research. But that's pretty much it that I noticed in terms of like portraying message that was really powerful to me. It was really with Wednesday. As for other brands, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't noticed any message. Most of the time,
Yeah,
their inspiration. It's
yeah.
mostly inspiration that I notice from other clothing brands here. It's mostly inspiration from Japanese culture or European, European culture, American culture. Underground hip hop. With the whole baggy silhouettes of clothes. That's pretty much like what I noticed with what where they get their inspirations from. But
Hmm.
in terms of messaging, it's it was always Wednesday that stood out for me because they weren't just throwing out words there. It was really powerful, meaningful. I can actually send you their Instagram if you
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
Instagram like that. Yeah.
Can you give some examples of, because I've seen your videos and there's plenty of examples of, oh, where's that guy from? I think his name was Messiah or something like.
Messiah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can
So
like just
yeah,
can you speak of,
yeah,
yeah, people that you've met from all over the world that were Filipino?
yeah. So Messiah is his real name is Haisam. So it's just really coincidental that if you flip Hisam, it's Messiah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really cool, right? So Hisam is from wait, let me just double check where Hisam is from. Because he's not from Manila. His
Hmm.
family's from Africa, but they moved here to the Philippines and they lived in wait lang. Let me
Hmm.
see. Um one moment. I'm just double checking. I think it's Bacolod. I think they're from Bacolod. I'm so sorry. They don't have it on their social media. But
That's okay.
the only reason I brought up where they're from is because they speak the same dialect I spoke, which was Bisaya.
Oh.
So that's in the province of Cagayan de Oro we speak Bisaya. So that was really cool because when I he's part of one of the most known groups here in Manila. He's a part of Careless Music,
Mm.
and he was also in the latest mixtape of 88 Rising, the
Hmm.
international record label I mentioned. So I'll be sending you these things later. But
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
Haisam is a character. He's a really great guy. He's so nice. If you watch the vlog from
Hmm.
one of the one I sent you from the Third World, shout out the
Hmm.
Third World, my group, another group I'm a part of right now. The Third World and Barangay Boys. Barangay Boys we
Right.
can talk about later. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, Haisam is a really great guy and a very talented artist. I met him in a event, and then I talked to him, I guess, and then someone told me. I asked him where he was from, and he said he was from the province. I really think it's Bacolod. I think it's Bacolod. I hope I didn't get it wrong. But yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Mm.
Dumaguete. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Dumaguete. There you go. I'm sorry. So you can just cut that Bacolod part out.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Dumaguete. They're from Dumaguete, and yeah, we spoke Bisaya. I was like, "Oh, you're Bisaya," and it's like, "Yeah, how do you know?" Like, "Yeah, I'm from Cagayan de Oro," and like, yeah, we that's how we pretty much became friends. Well, we're not that close, but it's just that every time we see each other, it's always fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Any
Really
other
good artist.
countries that
Um, let's see.
you've come across?
Yeah, I got a friend. His name is Angten Brown, Akio. He's from the States, but he's
Mm.
half Filipino, half African American.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's from a group. He's from a collective here in Manila called Bawa Clan. So their music is really dope. Like, I could send
Wow.
that to you too as well. Bawa Clan, Cartellum, a lot of really awesome groups here in the Philippines and collectives. So
Mm.
yeah, Akio, we became pretty close during before the pandemic, and then I might actually, when I go back to Manila, I might actually shoot a music video for him. So That's one of my plans because
Wow.
I feel like I'm comfortable already to step into that part of my art form. You know, I said because he hit me up. He saw one of my videos that I made of just random things I was shooting. He was like, "Yo, my guy, we have to do it. You know, like just let me know." And but during that time, I was scared, like because he's their group is pretty big. People know them for their visuals and everything. And you know, he asked me to do a music video for his single songs, his solo songs, not with the group Bowel Clan. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, man, for sure. But it never happened because the pandemic hit, and it's like I was never able to hit him up again. But I just messaged him like recently because we were just talking
Mm-hmm.
about like crypto and NFTs and stuff like that. And he was
Nice.
like, and I just told him like, hey, man, I might take you up on your request, you know, to shoot the music video.
Yeah.
But let's just do one of your small tracks, bro. Let's not do your big tracks that people are waiting for. I don't want to disappoint them. Let me try it out with one of
There
your,
you go.
you know, small tracks. So yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like, you know, just hit me up. You know, let's make it happen. Let's just create and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, we can get that. We can make that happen soon.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, man.
I
As
would.
for other personalities, there are a lot. I sometimes, you know, that moment when you just know when someone asks you what's your favorite song or what's your favorite movie, you just forget. That's pretty much it right now
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I've just come
Mm-hmm.
across
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of different talented people that have somewhat contributed to my life at the same time someone I've learned from or I look up to. So it's really cool. It's really
That's
nice.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel that maybe the scene is just not tapped into enough, or maybe I'm not even looking around that close either, but I thank you, thank you for
Yeah.
highlighting all these people.
But the thing
But
is, like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, like, the thing is, like, for me, it's really big. But if you look at it in a like from far away, it's really small. Like,
Mhm.
it's not that big yet here in the Philippines. We still have a long way to go. It's just that I
Mhm.
was fortunate enough to get to be in the circle, you know, of those people, like the people who are making the changes in terms of the culture in the Philippines. But if you look at it from like the whole Philippines, you know, it's pretty small. The community and the culture is still pretty small, but it's continuously growing and improving as we, you know, move forward with everything.
What are some common obstacles that you see artists face there in the
In the
Philippines?
Philippines, just recognition, man.
Mhm.
Like I said a while ago, you know, the competition is really tough, you know,
Mhm.
especially when someone doesn't really know you and you know you get introduced to someone that they're tight with, you know, sometimes they feel intimidated, like I said, one of the things that I noticed. But that's really it. It's totally understandable because we're all just trying to get recognized internationally. I the most of the artists that I know are recognized internationally. Filipinos are
Mhm.
mostly the ones who move to the States or move to another country. But if you're from the Philippines, I can pretty much say it's hard. It's hard to
Mhm.
be noticed worldwide. But like that's the goal. That's what people are the community and the culture here are, like trying to get at. They're just trying to just find that one big break and you know make it internationally, but at the same time without losing their what's the word who they are, you know, how unique they are,
Authenticity.
authenticity, there you go, that's the
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
Yeah. So because I'm pretty sure you heard the word sellout, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
People here don't want to be sellouts, or people that I know don't want to be sellouts.
How would you determine or define a sellout these days?
If you just start releasing mid songs or just like songs that the people just want to hear and not anymore like the songs that you were known for, like you know when you were just writing. Now pop, you eventually become pop, you know, from
Yeah, yeah,
someone
yeah.
underground just
So
making hits and left and right.
our definitions over the generation has not changed then. It's
Yeah,
the
for
same.
sure.
It's the same. It's the
It's the
same.
same. Yeah, because there's some people. I don't want to drop names, but I just noticed like they were so hard, when they were still like when they weren't really noticed. Then all of a sudden, they're getting millions of hits, and all of a sudden they sound the same every song.
Yeah.
They don't switch up because it's making
Mhm.
the money. Good
Mhm.
example for that internationally is Drake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dra- Drake is like his latest album just sounded like his last album. I don't know, but
Yeah, he's not
it's making
experimenting
him
as an
money.
artist.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
making him money. It's making him the best, one of the best artists in the world, and
Mhm.
you can't hate him for that because
Mhm.
he's got to do what he's got to do. So I'm
Mhm.
not saying that I don't respect these people who decided to just make hits instead of staying true to themselves, but it's just like that's one of the hardest things that any artist goes through, not only here in the Philippines. It's just,
Mhm.
how do you stay true to yourself and earn a good amount of, livelihood to
Mhm.
help you build your future? So,
How do you see that happening for you?
that's hard. That's really tough because you really have to adapt, like sad to say we really live in a capitalist world,
Mhm.
we really lived in a place where you have to really make the choice if you just want to build your future but not stay true to yourself or like be authentic, or do you want to stay authentic and be like um you know happy with your art form, but at the same time it's like you really have to work really hard instead of having it easy already if you chose the easier route. So it really depends, like I don't know the situation of everyone. I don't know
Mhm.
the situation of those artists that I talked about a while ago who are just making hits after hits. They probably came from a struggling life, and they just wanted to make it, and it was like fuck it, I'll do this and not care,
Mhm.
because if it's putting food on my table, then I'm all for it. But I don't know, because if I asked you, would you how do you see it, would you have an idea, or like would you
Oh yeah, yeah.
because I'd
Well,
like to pick your brain on it too.
thanks. Thank you. Um based on the books that I've been reading
Hmm.
and the way that I think the current landscape is, I think the younger people are, the more that they're going to have to depend on their creative resources, their
Hmm.
talents, right?
Hmm.
And also, it's never been a better time to be a creative person
Hmm.
because there's so many tools, right? You have YouTube, you have
Google,
SoundCloud, everything. You have
everything,
everything at your disposal.
for
And
sure.
so, I guess what I feel like it'll look like is everybody, if you're not with a collective of people that will, I guess, be like, do you know Voltron?
Y- I've heard of it, but I never
Okay, maybe
really.
Voltest 5.
Yeah, Voltus 5, yeah.
So there's just different parts that require contribution to one big, let's
Robot.
say, one big robot, let's say a
So,
media
or
outlet.
Power Rangers. There you go.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, Power
yeah, Power
Rangers.
Rangers.
Everybody does their own thing. Like
Yeah,
you're doing editing and video. There's another person that's the face of it, maybe that is the
yeah,
MC, and then there's people in the back that are marketing the channel,
yeah, for
maybe.
sure.
But if you don't have that, then you're just doing it on your own,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is okay too. So what I see people your age and younger are doing are making money off of these platforms,
Yeah,
Twitter, YouTube. It's more accessible now.
yeah. It's
And
open to everyone and
so
anyone.
right, right. So I was just thinking, is that is that what the goal looks like these days? Because before, I'll tell you this, when I was younger, the goal was come out with an album, distribute it,
Yeah, get
do
signed.
shows,
Yeah,
yeah, get signed, and which was very short lived, which is funny because I don't think I stopped that mindset until maybe I
yeah,
was 30,
yeah.
you know. And even then,
Mm.
I never thought I would get rich, but it was more like just having the integrity to support yourself
Yeah.
or make some side money, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah, that's why I was curious. I
yeah,
asked you.
I
Mhm.
would pretty much say, like, yeah, like what you said, really find yourself a group who shares the same vision with you.
Mhm.
Because, like, my favorite artist, ASAP Rocky, he's part of like ASAP, the ASAP mob.
Right.
So ASAP means always strive and prosper. And they're one of the most genuine groups that I've ever met. Like, not all of them rap the same. They all have different styles, but then when they're in one track, woo, that
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
sh- that shit's so fire. Like, you
Yeah.
you can really tell who's rapping, especially if you
Mhm.
know them one by one by heart. So it's really just finding your group. That I
Yeah,
really have
yeah.
to agree with that. Thank you for sharing that with me, because
Yeah,
now it makes
and
pretty much sense.
yeah, there's this person that I follow on Twitter that's really respected here, and as a guy, his name's Lex Friedman, I
Lex,
think,
yeah.
and he's currently working to um, build artificial intelligence robots.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
so
scary, but at the same
that's
time,
very
I'm all
scary.
for it.
But he tweeted out this one tweet that made me think very deeply about, and he said, "Collaboration is the greatest human invention." You know, and with the books that
True,
I've been reading, we didn't become human until we started collaborating with each other and
exactly, and working
and
together.
working together. And throughout my life, there's a lot of examples of like what you were saying earlier. There's just toxic people, but there's also great examples of
Yeah.
people coming together for a common goal.
Yep.
And it depends on what your it also depends on what your style is too. Some people just like going at it alone,
True. Yeah.
you
Like,
know.
I can pretty much say I'm like that. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I since If I knew how to work with people back in the day, I would have probably still had a group. But as I got older, as I gained more experience, I somewhat decided to, like, if I want to improve as an artist and be able to be beneficial to a group, I gotta work on my craft by myself.
right.
So that's what I've been pretty much doing. Just like shooting by myself, editing by myself, just really making connections by myself recently. Like, it's really like, what you call this? It's really challenging, but at the same time, I'm doing it just so that I can furnish, so that nobody can say shit. When I
Yeah.
finally put myself out there, they can say like, "Oh, your shit whack. You know what you're doing
Yeah.
is." If they were to comment, at least it's something that something I can improve on, and not just pure trash that I'm just releasing every time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one of the things that I draw inspiration from. It's just
Mhm.
really like, I visualize myself, I envision myself down the future when I'm probably 30 or 29 or some along the in the following years, where people will know me for my work. I don't have to That's how I want to be. Like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to tell people like, "Hey, I make videos. You should check me out." Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm an editor. Like, I don't want people to ask me like, "Hey, Jet, what do you do?" I want them to see me and be like, "Hey, you're Jet, right? You make this. Like, you made this stuff." That's what I want to reach. That's when you know that your work is talking for itself. You don't need to explain to people what you do. You don't need to tell them, like, you don't have to prove to them that you're this type of person, you can make this type of thing. It's like, I just want my work to speak for itself. So for me to
Mhm.
reach that, I really have to work on myself first. I really have to work on the things that I lack in, things I need to
Mhm.
improve on. That's why, like, ever since the pandemic, I've just been working on my sound design, you know the the levels of music, and like the frequencies. I've been studying that. Color grading, the type of colors that doesn't hurt the eye, but at the same time, it doesn't look flat. I've been just trying to find that level of color that looks, but not the same grading, but different colors every time. I like to play with colors, and my overall shooting, like my overall work, like how I shoot the videos, how do I frame it, how do I conceptualize it, how do I compose it, compositions is really important. So yeah, I guess in the long run, I somewhat want to become a filmmaker. That's one.
Wow,
I
cool.
want to make. I want to make
Yeah.
films. I want to direct. That's pretty
Yeah.
much my goal or my dream in the future. Anything can
Mm.
happen, but one thing's for sure: I never want to lose that creative side in me.
You have a very, I would say, advanced outlook. Yeah. I mean, you and
Yeah,
I are, when I could see myself at your age, we're very similar in the sense of ambition,
yeah,
but also knowing, I guess maybe you saw somewhere that other people may have made mistakes that you have seen, maybe that
yeah.
that you're kind of
Probably that,
building.
and just pretty much my experience in life and where it brought me. From being homeschooled to transferring to six different schools every year to getting, not losing that scholarship, from meeting all of the people I've met, from just mixing all of that with my taste, I guess, with what I like, with the music I like, the aesthetic, quote unquote, the aesthetic that I like. The I will give my flowers to to
Hmm.
my dad, because when you're younger, because he's strict, when we're out, the only first thing that he would tell me when it's a crowd of adults is just to sit down and observe.
Mm.
So I brought that with me ever since I got older, ever since until today. Sometimes when I don't know the crowd, I just look for a corner and just look around, observe what people are doing, observe their mannerisms, observe like um what they're wearing or what they're listening to, and that also contributed to how I am now. Look at, we haven't met each other, but it's like we've known each other for the longest time. That's how I pretty much try to make every conversation I'm in. I want the person I'm talking to feel comfortable. I want them to feel like, we can talk about something substantial and not just random things about me. Like I want to also know about you, since we've never met each other. What were you during in before, and what are you doing now? Like, I never really understood what you do and Justin does.
Oh, yeah. So, I used to be a chef, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think about when I was your age, I had the choice
Yeah.
of whether I could go to uh, recording school to learn how to record music
Music. Yeah.
or culinary school. That I
Hmm.
knew that I wanted to live a creative life, right?
Yeah.
And so I visited both places, and right before I signed any commitment to attend each of those schools, my dad said, he said, "Hey, you need money to start uh, a production company or pursue a life in music,
Yeah.
right? There's equipment that you have to invest in. But with cooking with cooking for a living,
Hmm.
the startup cost is very little,
Mm.
right? If that's what you really want to do."
Yeah.
And so I chose culinary school. And then
Mm.
for the last 15, 20 years almost, I was cooking for a living. With
Wow.
the last 5 years, we started our own business,
Yeah.
my wife and I.
You opened up
And that
a restaurant?
we opened up a catering business
Ooh.
with intention to start up a restaurant. And
Yeah.
it was popular, everybody loved it,
Hmm. I
but
would like to try that sometime.
yeah.
Like, I'm making it a goal. I'm setting it 2023. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna fly out there
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
And I would love to cook for you.
Anyway,
But
sorry to
yeah,
cut you
yeah,
there.
it's okay. But uh with running a business, it was really difficult. 7 days a week, 16 to 18 hours a
Yeah,
day, holidays,
employees.
employees, yeah. But in hindsight now, especially with the things that I'm doing and that I'm interested in now,
Hmm.
yeah, I would have done something totally different. I didn't pursue things out of love. Well, it was love, but there were things that I loved more that
Yeah,
I'm doing now. Like I'm writing now, I'm still making music, I'm still
yeah.
recording.
Ooh,
And so
send them my
I,
way, man. I want to
yeah.
listen to those. Let me peep
And
those.
thank you. I will. I'll share them with you when the time
Yeah.
comes. And no one's ever really asked me this, so thank you for asking. But um, yeah, that's something that I felt like I should have done
Mm.
instead of be taking the safe route, like my dad advised. Was like,
Yeah.
hey, you don't really, and I didn't really love cooking.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't even know how to cook,
You just had to
but
learn how to cook.
I learned how to cook. I learned to love it. And it's gotten me places that I never thought I would go, honestly.
Yeah. For
But I
sure.
learned about myself the most through cooking. And so, yeah, when I was your age, up until about 35,
Hmm.
I'm still cooking now, but not as much. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
But always with the background in the background, I was always like writing or recording some music or whatever. So it was
Hmm.
always something that was a
It
side
was never
thing.
gone. It was just there.
It was never gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that's why I'm thinking. But I also remember too that when I was younger, around, past 25 up to 30, I felt like that's when I was really focused and zoned in.
Mm.
I was still learning. I'm still learning now, and I still don't know shit, but but I'm learning, and that's why I'm talking to
Yeah.
you. Is that
For sure.
I feel like there's, like you said, in all respect to your siblings and my siblings, people are so different in many ways, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But nobody really goes to the youth for understanding,
Mm.
and I'm talking about youth, people younger than them,
Mm.
right? And so that I've been talking to a lot of people on this podcast that aren't my age, you know, that
Yeah.
aren't older than me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out a sense of the world through younger eyes
Yeah.
because
Our
that's the
perspective.
future, right? And I'm
For
glad you
sure.
said time capsule because one day maybe our, nieces and nephews or your, future daughters and sons will
Yeah.
hear these recordings and just like, oh wow, Uncle Jethro did something,
Yeah.
really cool with his life,
Sure.
and it's something
Yeah.
to draw back on and inspire.
Yeah. And hopefully, gives them like the sense of they can be anything they want to be as long as they just put in the work.
I really wanted to ask you, when I talked about the common narrative right now with Filipinos here trying to grasp our truest selves and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having the United States in our mind being one and another idea of being Filipino in the other, right?
Yeah.
Are you following me? So there's conflicting,
Because of
uh,
culture.
yeah, because of culture, right? And so that's kind of the common narrative here with Filipinos here. But in your mind, with people your age, what do you think is a common story there that that binds you together with people of your peers, basically,
Pretty
if there
much,
is one?
it's pretty much Filipino pride, really.
Mm-hmm.
Being a country that has been ruled by different countries around the world. We got Spain, we got Japan, we got America for a short period of time. Like we really are starting to put our footprint in the world. You can pretty much see that. Filipinos around the world are just they always exceed they always exceed expectation. And it's really amazing how the big names right now in the tech industry, in the fashion industry, in the music industry, it's either they're Filipinos or the famous person like ASAP Rocky. Just an example, I don't know if he knows any Filipinos, but let's say a person as famous as ASAP Rocky, there's always either a Filipino in his team. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
really amazing because how how talented we are, and how we don't give ourselves enough credit for how talented we are in terms of everything. So I guess that's where we draw inspiration from. It's just, being Pinoy, being Filipino. If anyone in the world can make it, so can we. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically, I guess, the common goal. Circling back to what I said a while ago, where people are just trying to make it. That's why they move into different countries. They either get lucky, but at the same time, they branch out. That's what I'm trying to say. We really get inspiration just to have a great future. And it could be different. Again, everything that I'm saying right now is my opinion, but the way I see it, the inspiration that we all find common ground in is just really being Filipino, and just really trying to make that change, trying to contribute to the ever evolving world that we live in. So
Mm.
those are my thoughts on it. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That definitely made sense. Um,
For you, what do you think would be, as a Filipino, what do you think would be a inspiration to you as a chef, or as a someone who's pursuing these new things continuously?
what would be an inspiration for me?
Yeah, like,
Um,
why do you do what you do? In other words.
wow, that's a good question. I first and foremost like to connect with people.
Mm,
Like you said, we can talk about so many things, but to have an actual meaningful conversation, I feel like is something that really takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of just being
yeah,
present and being willing to sit with people. But if we're talking about a whole bunch of, if I'm into a lot of things, but I guess what I'm mostly trying to find with the things that I do is just honesty.
yeah,
I really just want to be honest
that's super
in how I
powerful.
express myself.
Yeah,
My comfort zone is a little bit of difficulty, but at least expressing something that, whoa, I never knew that was in me.
yeah,
Like this conversation now that we're having, I'm 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 surfacing a lot of things that I never knew that were in me, that
yeah.
you're asking me that I've never expressed before. So thank you for doing that. And
Of
most of
course. Yeah, man.
my inspiration, just like how I love watching sports and and music, is just seeing people in their element.
Yeah,
Really
right.
like,
It's really cool
holy,
how
yeah, they're
dedicated some people are.
and how happy they are when they achieve something.
Yeah,
Even they forget about the cameras, they forget about the crowd. You just see something really genuine
raw
and
emotion.
raw emotion. That's what I'm trying to capture at all times.
Especially, I'm pretty sure you're also somewhat of a fan of basketball, right? You watch the
Love
NBA.
basketball.
Yeah. Like when someone dunks on somebody or gets a poster, you just see their natural self, like
Yeah,
screaming, like,
right.
let's
I mean,
go.
you
Like,
know where
yeah.
you know where we're from over here. It's
Yeah.
Golden State,
Golden State.
right?
Yeah.
But the best part I love about that team is Steph Curry. He just plays with so much joy.
Yeah, and he never lost himself as a player. He still plays the exact same way he's been playing for the past decade.
Yeah, and it's just so much joy. That's what motivates me, is just seeing
Yeah.
other people feeling it myself is the joy. So,
I'm a
yeah,
Laker
thank
fan though, although it's kind
yeah.
of depressing being a Laker fan now.
Right now,
Yes, it's really depressing to be a Laker fan right now. Team, man.
I would say that I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, dude.
I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
It's just it's just the way sports goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It's fine. It's fine. We have a lot of relatives from LA too, and it's funny because you know the way we grew up, our team sucked. The Golden State
Golden
Warriors
State, yeah.
sucked
Back in the day.
back in the day, and then so whenever we talk about basketball with our relatives from LA, it's like Magic Johnson,
Yeah.
Kobe, Shaq, of
Kobe,
course,
Shaq, yeah.
and so it's just interesting how people follow from different regions. But um, let's see, what else did we? What are What are some new ideas that you're exploring now, or
New
epiphanies that
ideas.
you? Yeah.
Wow, that's a deep question. I haven't thought about that because I've just been well. New ideas is that I just with they're not really ideas, but they're not really ideas, but like realizations. What you call it? Not misconception. What's the word where the common stigma
Mm-hmm.
that people think about as creatives is that they're not organized. They just go with the
Yeah.
flow. They just run with it.
Yeah.
But like this really pushed me. Like, hey, I can actually be organized and be creative at the same time, and be like, you know, it also helped. It with that said, it helped with my processes in terms of when I create. Now I have a flow. I have a flow. I have like a okay. So for me to get this, I have to really write down what I want to shoot, my shot list. Now I make that a priority every time I shoot. Now I have a shot list. I list down the places I want to take. I make sure I know who I'm going to shoot, and then I already prepare even before the video starts. I have my background music and stuff like that. So it's just these little things, that I never deemed as important, and these things that I thought that were just like, nah, that's
Mm.
boring. Like you don't need that shit. Like nobody needs to be organized. I'm just gonna get lit and get crazy. Let the creativity juice flow inside me. But no, I realized that it's actually nice to have a process with things. It's actually
Mm.
nice to be organized so that you don't get lost. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. No, Jethro, man, or Jet. You like to be called Jet?
Any,
Up to you,
Jethro,
Jethro.
Jet's fine.
All right, all right. Before we go, can I ask you how you got your name?
Oh, so
Is there a story behind that?
yeah. So my dad's a pastor. Jethro is the dad of Moses, the guy who
I did
split
not.
the water. The guy who split the
I
water in
I
half.
I am ashamed that I didn't know that
No,
because
it's
I
fine.
grew
It's
up.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, some people say that some people call me Jethro Tull. He's apparently
Jethro.
an artist back in the day.
He
A
is.
jazz.
Yeah.
Jazz? Did he play jazz or rock?
I
I'm
think
not
it was
sure.
like rock fusion, psychedelic rock.
Yeah, so
Um,
Jethro Tull,
it's
but I
good stuff.
really,
Yeah.
I really got my name from the Bible because I forgot what Jethro meant, but there's a meaning for all of our names, even Jairus and Jemina. They all have meanings to their name, but I think mine was, I think, being a leader. So
Mm,
I, I think, yeah, I think that's where I take my, that's where I also gain. That's what also I want to become eventually. I want to become a leader. I
yeah.
want to, I want to I want to lead a man. I want to become someone that people look up to. But I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
do that if I don't put in the work. If I don't,
Right.
because why will people look up to me if I'm just if I'm just putting out BS?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it, and I admire you at your age for seeing it that way.
Thank you.
And shit, man, thank you for sitting down this long with me
Of
at four
course,
till
bro.
4 in the morning.
Bro, I told you, Kuya, like this is really amazing. This is really an experience for me because I've never met you guys. It's always been my dream. I've always told my dad growing up, like, how come I've never met you guys? And eventually as I got older, like, yeah, living in the States is so far away from the Philippines,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's like I've really wanted to connect with dad's side of the family because I've
Mhm,
only ever met Tito Jojo's family. My
mhm,
cousins who are here, and Rylan when he would visit. Nathan not so much, and Monique because they don't come here that often.
mhm.
But it was always Rylan who I talked to. But it was always like a dream of mine to just see everyone together in the Ferrer family side.
Yeah,
That would be fun, man. I
I
feel
think
like that would be super fun.
it'll happen one day, but, you know, one thing that I learned when I went to the Philippines is that I always had this picture in my mind that everybody in the Philippines is trying to go to the United States for something,
Hmm.
right? But then when I was there, I was like, man, nobody here needs us, dude, in the United States, you know? Like
Yeah,
you guys are good. Like
yeah,
it's not perfect, but
yeah, for sure.
also maybe there's a reason why you're still there, and maybe it's because, you're going to find a group one day that, or you yourself one day well, make a name for yourself
Yeah,
there, you know.
for sure.
But whatever happens will be the right thing, you
For
know.
sure, man. Like
Um,
what we do
yeah,
gain, I have to say, like a lot of the trends here in the Philippines is really influenced by Western culture. So, you
yeah.
know, you can't deny the fact that the States is really the capital of trends and things.
Yeah. Yeah, anything you want to say? Any last thoughts? Do you want to be
um,
found anywhere?
yeah, I guess I'll just shamelessly plug my socials. I guess you can probably follow me at underscore jet underscore Emilio underscore. Sorry for all the underscores, but it's just what it is.
Mm,
But yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram. If anyone listening gets curious on or wants to see what I do, you can probably get a glimpse of things I'm interested in. Probably you'll probably see that I'm into a lot of NFTs. I'm into crypto and stuff on my IG, but you will also see a lot of my work there. So yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah,
cool. Yeah,
for
good
sure.
enough. Thank you, Jethro.
For
Thank you
sure. Thank
for
you,
your
P.
time.
Jonathan.
Yeah,
This has been really a special experience for me. You know, being able to talk to you
likewise.
and pick each other's brains on
Hmm.
topics, on music, on the
Yeah.
culture. But yeah,
Well, you
thank
know
you so
where.
much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, Jethro. I'll see you soon. Get some
Yup,
sleep.
for
Tulog na.
sure. Yeah, tulog na.
All
Enjoy at
right.
your game. Good luck.
Take care, brother.